The Smith property is an 87-acre tract located just northwest of Mars Hill, North Carolina. The tract was conveyed to the town of Mars Hill in late 2018 by the Smith family, thanks to the support of the Clean Water Management Trust Fund of North Carolina, the Land and Water Conservation Fund, and the Richard L. Hoffman Foundation. Prior to that conveyance, the tract had been in the extended Smith family for over 150 years. But even earlier than that, this tract has its roots in a significant purchase made over 200 years ago, as state-issued land grants were commonplace following the American Revolution. In 1796, John Gray Blunt, an important merchant, politician, and land speculator from the East Coast of North Carolina, purchased 320,640 acres. And the price? Just £2, 10 shillings for every 100 acres, equating to about $29,000 in 1796 dollars. As we zoom into the western part of the state, that tract is shown with a blue outline, covering all of present-day Yancey County, the northeastern corner of Buncombe County, and the eastern two-thirds of Madison County. All current land deeds in Madison County, located on the northeast side of the French Broad River, have their historical roots in this single tract. Though portions of this huge tract were sold around 1800, the next deed that definitively included the Smith property was sold to Zachariah Candler in 1838. This 100,000-acre tract, shown with the green outline, shared some of its boundaries with the Blount tract, including the Swannanoa River to the south and the French Broad River to the west. The history of the Smith acreage becomes a little murky over the following years, but the next critical deed is dated September 11, 1866, and represents a 600-acre tract purchased by Edward and Clarissa Carter. This is the same Edward Carter, known locally as Neddy, who 10 years previously, in 1856, donated the 4 acres on which the current Mars Hill University was founded. That 600-acre tract, shown in pink, had been held by no less than 13 joint owners, all descendants, either directly or through marriage, of Reverend James Bean Ray, who died just 2 years earlier in 1864. One of Ray's daughters was Clarissa, who married Edward Carter in 1838. It is presumed that Clarissa, through her father's will, owned a portion of the tract, and along with her husband, acquired all of the remaining interest in 1866. This 600-acre tract, largely bounded by the ridges that separate the waters of Banjo Branch from those of Gabriel Creek to the East Fork of Bull Creek to the northwest, and White Oak Branch to the west, forms the basis for the ownership succession of the Smith property from 1866 to the present day. The next key transaction was in 1879, when Neddy Carter conveyed about 100 acres to his son, Horace J. Carter. The property description in this deed does not exactly mimic the current tract outline, shown in yellow, but the first 5 calls do closely follow the northern and western boundary, and the description does define a rectangle centered on the currently defined property. In addition, most of the subsequent deeds, up until 2018, when the tract was surveyed for the town of Mars Hill, refer to the 1879 wording as the basis of the tract description. Be that as it may, only 3 years later, in 1882, Horace Carter sold the tract to his brother-in-law, W. O'Connor, for $850. For over 100 years, the tract was owned by Connor, his wife Clarissa Marietta, and their daughter Marietta Helen Connor. W. O'Connor was the first mayor of Mars Hill, elected first in 1893 and serving 8 years, and elected 3 more times, serving a total of 22 years through 1931. In the 1910 census records, Connor was listed as a farmer, though his residence was listed as North Center Street, now known as North Main Street. 10 years later, while serving as mayor, he's listed as the Mars Hill postmaster, still living on North Main Street, with his daughter Helen, his son-in-law John Pilcher Smith, who married Helen in 1911, and 3 grandchildren. John P. Smith was listed as a rural carrier, presumably working for his father-in-law. According to census data, in 1930, they lived in separate homes, next door to one another, on an unnamed road simply called Road to Public School. A historical photo from circa 1933 identifies a house at 105 North Main Street as the residence of W. O'Connor. The house still stands and is presently the home of First Bank, Mars Hill. As for the Smith property itself, no deed was found formally transferring the acreage from W. O'Connor, who died in 1934, to his daughter Helen Connor Smith, but it's clear that ownership passed via Connor's will or family negotiations. Unfortunately, John Pilcher Smith passed away in 1967 at the age of 78, but the next deed located in line was from Helen Connor Smith to her three children, John W., Marietta Helen, and Edward B. Smith in 1985, each receiving a one-third undivided interest in the property, then known as the John Smith Farm. Over the next 33 years, the tract made its way to the next generation through a series of complicated deeds, bequests, and assignments, and it was in 2018 that Belva Smith, widow of Johnny, her brother-in-law Gustav Becker, and her cousin Charles Smith, who still lives in the area, conveyed the property to the town of Mars Hill. Over a span of 5 generations, the property remained in the same extended family. Here's a portion of the family tree, starting with Edward Carter Sr., Nettie's grandfather, born in 1761. It may help better understand the chronology of the property ownership if we follow along on this simplified diagram. Starting with Nettie Carter and his wife Clarissa, who obtained the property in 1866, it was conveyed to their son Horace in 1879. 3 years later, it was sold to Horace's brother-in-law, W. O'Connor. From here to Connor's daughter Helen, who married John Pilcher Smith, then to their 3 children, and finally ending up with the next generation. In 2018, it was finally conveyed to the town of Mars Hill, and with that, the opportunity for all to enjoy as the town, in partnership with the Appalachian Barn Alliance, strives to showcase a little bit of Appalachian heritage on this historic farmstead.